Great. So I think we're ready to get started. So I'll jump in. So firstly, I do want to thank everybody for joining us and our isotope sector colleagues from around the world. It's a really exciting for isotopes, not only here in Ontario, Canada, but around the world. In particular, I do want to, just before I talk about the CNIC, I do want to thank Jess Dixon. She's a member of provincial parliament here in Ontario. She's one of the greatest champions that we have here in Canada when it comes to medical isotopes. And so, thank you very much, Jess, for your tireless advocacy. It means a lot to have strong leaders in our government and advocating for strong public policy. So it's great to see you, and thanks again. I just want to spend a few minutes and just talk a little bit about the CNIC, because I know we are going to be we're webcasting this, and this may be new to a number of people. For over half a century, Canada has been a world leader in the production, the distribution, the utilization of medical isotopes. And Canada has worked as part of a very robust international community to make sure that our patients, our research institutions, pharmaceutical companies, and organizations that carry out sterilization have had access to these really important life-saving medical isotopes. And what we always say is it doesn't matter what part of the world you're in, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in South Korea, whether you're in the United Kingdom, doesn't matter. I can guarantee you that medical isotopes touch your life in one way or another. Whether it's the medical equipment that you see when you go to a hospital or doctor's office that is sterilized to a very high standard, whether it is a patient who is diagnosed or treated with cancer, medical isotopes impact us all. And the good news around the world is that as we have a growing global population, there's more and more, literally hundreds and hundreds of millions of people that are now moving into the middle class. And what I often say here in Canada is we're very blessed and fortunate to have a very strong modern healthcare system. So sadly, when one of us is impacted by cancer, we have access to some of the best treatments and care available. The good news around the world is there's more and more people that are having access to those kind of treatments as we grow our middle class, especially in parts of the world that have much larger populations than we have here in North America. And while that's good news, that also means that there's a growing demand for the supply of medical isotopes and the use of medical isotopes. So not only is there innovation in the production of isotopes, but there's innovations in the use of isotopes. And I don't want to pick favorites. They say when you're a dad, you never pick favorites of your kids. But one of my favorite isotopes is lutetium-177. I'm sure every speaker is going to have their own favorite, but I just want to use this as an example. Lutetium-177 is a theranostic. It's a type of isotope that can find and help treat cancer. I call it a heat-seeking missile. And it's one example of an isotope that is in important use now, but there's 200 case studies around the world, clinical trials to expand that. And I could go on, we could all pick out our favorite isotope on the periodic table and talk about it, but the principle's the same, is the demand for these are growing. But Canada, and thanks to MPP Dixon's leadership, Ontario will continue to play a leadership role in this. We recognize we're part of a global community, and I really want to thank the World Council of Isotopes for their long-standing leadership globally. And on behalf of the Canadian Nuclear Isotope Council, we're thrilled to be signing this international MOU, recognizing that we have to work together, that there's no one country or one jurisdiction that can do this alone, and that patients and families and frontline healthcare workers are counting on us to work together to make sure they have access to provide patients the best treatment. So with that, Andrew, again, I want to thank everybody for being here. We look forward to this virtual signing, and I'll pass it back over to you.
Thank you, James. Very much appreciate the remarks. Paul, would you like to provide some remarks on behalf of the WCI?
Yeah. No, I just want to, first of all, that was a great introduction to everything we have to say here. And I want to thank all the organizers for this. As you know, WCI is is an international NGO that focuses on isotopes, both medical isotopes as well as industrial isotopes that are used throughout the world. And also one of the other aspects that we focus in on too are stable isotopes, which are an important part of both the nuclear industry as well as target materials for the medical industry as well. So WCI really has a kind of a broader charter. Broad charter that focuses in on all sorts of isotopes, obviously the ones that are used for peaceful purposes. One of the things that I do want to say is that really, just to add on, there is literally no modern society that can operate efficiently without the access to and use of medical isotopes and industrial isotopes. So we're very blessed to have organizations like CNIC as joining us in promoting and advancing all these issues. Obviously, Canada has an extraordinary leadership in the world today in this, and we saw this in quite a bit when we were in Saskatoon for the 11 ICI, which is a conference which the WCI helps to organize every 2 to 3 years. And really, thanks to the University of Saskatoon, and the Frederick Center, really they demonstrated Canada has this extraordinary, robust industry and organizational talent that I think really demonstrates that you have a leadership role in the world. And I have, all I can tell you is that we were, all of us were so impressed, and we were so glad to be able to join with CNIC that it really is our privilege to join with you. So with that, I'm just going to leave it and say thanks again. Sorry for my internet being out. What could I do? I'm glad we organized this all in advance. So thanks again, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Paul. Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you for the first time in person at the ICI conference. I think was great, and it just really spoke to the opportunities for collaboration that we see moving forward, which obviously started the conversations around this MOC today, and really happy to advance it. Just going to move along in the agenda to our MPP Jess Dixon, who, as James introduced at the outset, has been a long time advocate and champion on the behalf of the medical isotope community and industrial isotope community here in Ontario. And she is one of our go-tos when we need to talk to government and interact with all the great things that the Ministry of Energy is doing here in Ontario. So over to you, Jess.
Thank you all so much. And James, I always love hearing from you, as your enthusiasm is so infectious. It's frankly, I credit James and the Bruce Power team with most of my excitement about this. It was the first nuclear power station I ever visited, and then I found out about the Isotopes program, and I thought, consider myself a reasonably well-informed Ontarian and Canadian, and I had no idea about this. This is a story that absolutely needs to be told. Really, everybody on the call and everybody involved in this, thank you so much. The role of government is to come along and try to support good ideas, but the good ideas don't happen without the good work of people like yourselves. And I know that this has been a long road, a lot of advocacy on an area that is complex and can be hard to translate from an advocacy perspective. And so really, all of your dedication to this, it's not just Ontario or Canada, but the world that really owes you a debt of gratitude, because what you are doing is life-changing for all of humanity. Everything else I would say is sort of trite in comparison, but really the gratitude here is all to you. Obviously, it's very exciting being in Ontario. I don't have an energy background. I was a Crown prosecutor, but my dad worked in energy. I said I'm the only PA at Energy whose father ever brought out the schematic of a CANDU reactor prior to me making my first announcement, because it was about feeder tubes, and he was appalled that I would be allowed to go on stage and talk about feeder tubes without actually knowing what a CANDU reactor was like. So I have a layman's kitchen table CANDU schematic understanding of just how exciting our CANDU reactors are, with their ability to produce, with so much reliability, the amount of isotopes that we do. And I'm so grateful, as I said, that my government has been so ready and willing to support the incredible work that you are doing here in Ontario and in Canada and abroad. I also have to mention my colleague Rick Byers, who brought the formal motion in legislature for medical isotopes being included in the life sciences strategy, which was wonderful. Supported throughout the House, which is it's always nice when we can find something to agree on. It doesn't happen all the time, but anyway, I'm so grateful. I'm excited. I really can't wait to see what you come up with next, because every time I turn around, there's a new isotope that I have to learn how to pronounce. I'm delighted to see what incredible pronunciations with phonetic spellings I'm going to have to put in my next speeches. But seriously, everyone on the call, your advocacy, your hard work, your dedication, your passion is so inspiring. And I am so incredibly grateful, as is Ontario, for the work that you are all doing.
Great.
Thank you very much, Jess, and thank you very much, obviously, to your government's continued support and to the continued support of the federal government as well. The CNIC wouldn't have been able to establish the foothold that we really have in Ontario and across Canada over the past number of years without supportive governments, and its motions like that of Rick Byers, as well as former MP Bill Walker, MPP, Bill Walker a couple of years ago, that really demonstrate that level of support that allows an organization like ours to build these international relations with groups like the WCI, and just continue to push the file forward in terms of advocacy and education for the sector. So we are going to move on to the formal virtual signing, which we have thankfully prepared in advance. So Melody, if you can show the formal signing of the document, that would be great.
I think Ms. Jung is.
Ho Jin Jung, would you show the document on the screen? Okay, I'll try. Okay. Yes.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, could you scroll to the signatures to prove that we all signed?
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank goodness we did this in advance.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And by the looks of those, I'm the one that needs to work on my professional signature. Everyone else is very fancy and meticulous, and mine looks very basic. So I'll take that note away for next time as I look to sign more of these things in the future on behalf of the CNIC. So thank you very much, Paul, James, and Jess. Just a couple of quick closing remarks. I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Choi, who's also a representative of WCI, to provide some quick remarks. Thank you very much.
Would you? Okay, I'm Choi, Secretary General of WCI. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to speak as the Secretary General of WCI on this auspicious occasion where we are signing a cooperation agreement with the esteemed Canadian Nuclear Isotope Council. Paul Dingman already mentioned, but let me mention again about the 11 ICI. Let me allow to extend my warmest congratulations once again to the Canadian radioisotopes community on the successful hosting of the 11th International Conference on Isotopes in Saskatoon last July. It's an honor to acknowledge CNIC's significant support and contributions as one of the event's sponsoring organizations. In particular, the Canadian Medical Isotope Ecosystem Directory, distributed by CNIC at their exhibition booth, was an impressive resource, which I believe will be beneficial to many countries as well as WCI. In the field of radioisotopes, information sharing is very crucial, especially when it comes to basic information about key players involved in RI production, distribution, research, and related activities. I'm sure that the directory compiled by CNIC serves as a valuable resource in this context. Therefore, WCI is considering the possibility of creating an international version of such a directory, taking CNIC's publication as an excellent role model. We hope that CNIC will be able to share its experience with us should the need arise. WCI, registered as an NGO with the IAEA, places a great importance on information sharing and collaboration with other international organizations and WCI member institutions. Some notable examples of institutions with which WCI has signed cooperation agreements include the IAEA, American Nuclear Society, and Korea Atomic Energy Research Institute. Now we are pleased to establish a strong partnership with CNIC, a gathering of Canada's distinguished radioisotope stakeholders. With the signing of this cooperation agreement, we hope to see active engagement, mutual participation in conferences, and vibrant information exchange between our organizations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Troy. And thank you again for everyone for joining this virtual signing here this morning. Again, to reflect in the opening comments provided by James, this really is an international collaboration effort as we continue to advance the importance of medical isotopes. I'm actually joining this conference this morning from France, so afternoon here at an OECD supply forum on the importance of medical isotopes moving forward. And many of our members from CNL to OPG to Laurentis to Triumph and many others of which I forgot, as there's over 80 now, are all key members of the international supply chain, the Canadian supply chain, and we look forward to advancing work with WCI to make sure that they have the connections they need internationally to continue to deliver the medical isotopes that patients need at the end of the day. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time this morning. This concludes the formal proceedings, and we look forward to working with you in 2024 and forward. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Great. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, well done. And thank you all.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And thanks, Melody, for all your work.
Oh, yes. No, thanks to you as well.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Professor Kim.
Bye.